His dad was Shintaro Abe, which kind of sounds like a regen.
It's sort of like a second generation Pokemon kind of thing. Like he evolved into Shinzo to Shintaro.
So he was the foreign minister,
Okay.
and many tipped him to be the prime minister, but he unfortunately was involved in a corruption scandal. He was loosely connected. His name was associated with corruption. What's more interesting though was his grandparents. So on his paternal side, you have Khan Abe. He actually served in General Tojo's parliament during World War II. And then you have his maternal grandfather, Nobusuke Kishi. And he was actually the prime minister of Japan from 1957 to 1960.
Oh my gosh. So what an alliance his grandparents made in terms of a... Yeah, wow. Wait, now I'm confusing myself.
No, yeah, totally.
Somehow these two very influential families have then come together in...
Yeah, so Shintaro Abe married the daughter of the former prime minister
I see,
of Japan.
Yeah.
And then, to get this right, Nobusuke Kishi actually married his cousin. This is kind of how insular...
Wait a second.
Yeah, this is how insular...
I see, yeah, right. You've lost me a little bit there. That's... I sort of got the whole other stuff. This part, I'm a little worried.
So, yeah, maternal grandfather's the really important one.
Yeah.
So, his mother's father was the... Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So all that to say, he's the chosen one, really.
He's a massive Nepo baby.
Yeah.
And so he comes in basically with like, I will finish what you started. And by that, revive Japanese exporting and make Japan a powerful economy again. So Japan was in freefall. And actually, in 2006, Abe became the prime minister. So the prime minister of Japan, I'm going to kind of rattle off some Japanese names here. So please... I'm doing my best with pronunciation for the audience. These boys are very supportive, but I got pumped in my last Chinese video for my pronunciation.
Unlucky.
So the Prime Minister, Junichiro Koizumi.
Okay.
So he was Prime Minister when Japan...
Put on a voice then.
Well, it's phonetically, it sounds like Junichiro.
I think you're... Okay.
But it's got to be Junichiro. Like, it sounds like Konnichiwa.
Yeah.
Yeah, and people were like... When I was telling people at work that I'm going to... like Tokyo and stuff and whatever, they kind of found it funny the way like we sort of drag out the vowels rather than say like Tokyo. Yeah. So you're not just putting on it. I think you're actually saying it correctly, even though us Australians just immediately think you're taking the piss out of them.
Shinzo Abe.
Yeah. Arigato.
So 2001, 2006 was when he was Prime Minister. So he was Prime Minister when Japan held the World Cup. And my goodness, what a fantastic FIFA game that World Cup produced. So anyway, so Abe finally becomes the Prime Minister in 2006. Unfortunately, his agricultural ministers, and I do pluralize the word ministers here, got in a bit of trouble. So the first minister was called Toshikatsu Matsukoa. He actually committed suicide following implication in a corruption scandal.
Yikes.
And then he was replaced with a guy called Takehiro Endo. And after 1 week, he was also implicated in a corruption scandal, separate corruption scandal, not the same one if I'm not mistaken. And so under that cloud, people were like, Abe, you're just appointing... So kind of the thing was...
Yeah, you've gone 0 from 2 there, Abe.
Yeah, exactly. And he was appointing young people and kind of neglecting old people in Japanese parliament.
Okay.
And so people were like, noob, you thought you knew better. And he actually has to resign. He also has colitis, which is a condition where your colon is inflamed. Sounds quite painful. So chronic condition that he's had his whole life. And so his health wasn't good either. And so he actually had to resign in 2007 to try and save the party standing. Now, the Japanese economy starts to turn around towards, like, housing prices start to go up a little bit. You actually see the opposition, say, kind of coalition of a couple of parties primarily led by social democratic parties. They come in and they govern from 2009 to 2012. But Shinzo Abe comes back for the 2012 election to lead the Liberal Democratic Party. Wins in a landslide.
Yeah, wow.
And what
that colon cannot stop him. Go Shinzo.
We see something called Abenomics.
I like it. I love it. Everyone loves to put anomics on any just Reaganomics, Abenomics.
There's 3 pillars to it. The first one was bring back inflation.
Okay.
No, inflation is a good thing, just as long as it's with it, because it means healthy economy.
Yeah.
But just as long as it doesn't get out of hand.
I guess, yeah.
Okay.
Current climate, people would struggle to see the value in that.
Just a little bit of inflation. The healthy amount.
They'd been deflating for the last 2 decades.
Yeah, gotcha.
Stimulus in the short term surplus in the long term, which is just kind of a mix of Wayne Swan and John Howard in one there. So provide the stimulus to get the inflation, but then stop the stimulus once you've got your inflation and then go into surplus and deflate.
Yep.
So short-term inflation, long-term deflation.
Okay.
Bit of push-pull.
Yeah. Yeah.
The final one was address structural issues. It's like, it just doesn't sound as good as the...
Yeah, he was smashing the first two out of the park. And then, yeah.
Basically, this meant addressing kind of the high government debt that Japan had taken on in the long term, so surplus in the long term, and also kind of addressing the population decline issue that had been going on in Japan.
Yeah.
And they've got kind of worsening demographics, and also addressing the fact that they weren't as competitive as what they once were in the manufacturing scene. He also courted America quite closely, as you kind of have to do if you're Japan, and so got involved with the Quad. So Australia, India, America, Australia. So kind of quadrilateral security dialogue.
I think you said Australia twice.
Australia, America, India, Japan.
Yep.
That's what I meant. Joined the Trans-Pacific Partnership. PY and I did a pod on it once when Ben was away. Basically an economic network that cut out China. Basically starting a game of handball. And
So yeah, made a new group chat and China wasn't in it.
pretty much. And he played golf with Trump in 2017.
Oh.
And he fell into the bunker.
Oh, really? Oh no, Shinzo.
If we had more time, I'd actually just pause us and do a live reacts to us watching. We'll do it at the end.
Yeah, great.
Of-
I look forward to seeing that.
How did he fall?
He was...
You didn't see it?
For whatever reason, he was running... No, I watched it. There's drone footage of it.
He's running.
He was running out of his bunker. So he's hit the ball out of the bunker. And maybe he's got...
Oh, you want to go see where it lands? Yeah, sometimes
Excited
you
or-
got to run out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Maybe he just had someone behind him and felt the pressure to...
Yes. Yeah. The slow play.
So he runs up, but then he slips and he falls back down to where he went. And Trump's got his back turned and not paying any attention.
Yeah, right.
But anyway, so he's the Prime Minister, and in 2020, due to his colitis, he has to step down again.
Okay.
So in the middle of COVID.
Yeah.
I'm going to fast forward to 2022.
Yeah.
He's been out of the game for 2 years, and there's local upper house elections going on in Nara. Or Nara, I don't know. And he goes to support the Liberal Democratic Party. Now, I'm going to mention a guy from Korea. His name is Sun Myung Moon. So
Okay.
he's got Sun and Moon in his name.
Yep.
He is the founder of a church in Korea. That church is called the Unification Church. As a Christian, I would strongly advocate that this is not a church, and I would put this very much under the category of cult, and
Okay.
does not follow orthodox teachings of any major Christian denomination. So, first Adam, tempted by Eve, fell into sin, and that marriage corrupted the world. That's the argument. Jesus came as the second Adam. He was going to find himself a lovely wife to marry, but unfortunately, he got killed before he could do his duty and finish what he started.
Interesting
So
theory.
the cross is not...
So his whole plan was just to rizz. You know,
pretty much. And then to save the world through this holy second marriage.
gotcha.
And that then failed.
Interesting. Yeah.
Which then...
Couple of holes.
Yes.
So second Adam, which then meant that there had to be a third Adam.
Who's
come
that?
Forward.
Who's that going to be?
Is it Sun and
Is
Moon?
that Son?
Sun Myung Moon.
Ah, Sonny.
So allegedly, when he was a young boy in Korea,
Yeah.
Jesus spoke to him and said, basically, I am going to do great things through you, and I'm
Okay.
going to basically finish my work through you. Kind of like some allusions to Muhammad being the final prophet, hearing Allah in the cave story. So that's what he said. He then said, nah, not for me.
Yeah,
Then
I've already volunteered for trombone. You know, I don't have any room in the calendar for extracurriculars.
to which Jesus then said, please, I really...
Like, come on, don't be a dog, bro. Come on.
Now, why am I kind of telling this random story about a church in Korea?
Yeah.
Well, Sun Myung Moon then makes it into a mega church, and it becomes hugely popular in Korea. It then becomes hugely popular in Japan, and it actually has quite strong influence with Shinzo Abe's grandfather on the maternal side, the former prime minister of Japan,
As in, he's an advocate for it. He's a...
Nobusuke Kishi. Correct.
He's a
Yeah.
okay.
And that's basically where we start to see a little bit of a connection to Shinzo Abe, is that his maternal grandfather was really into the church.